This is SOSF. So, check this out. Everybody's talking about quantum computers, right? These giant, gold, super cold things that cost $1 billion? It turns out, there's this little company that says that's all bullshit. And their idea is, man, it's either the biggest scam ever or it's gonna change everything. And when you see pictures of these things, what do you see? You see these insane, gold-plated chandeliers hanging in a lab. That giant, steampunk-looking thing. You know what that is? That's not even the computer. That's the refrigerator. It's a multi-million-dollar, hyper-advanced, super fridge. And its only job is to cool one tiny, tiny chip at the very bottom down to, like, 15 millikelvin. That's a word that doesn't even mean anything, right? It's colder than deep space, colder than the dark side of the moon. And they have to do this. They have to spend millions of dollars and use insane amounts of power, just to get at that cold bot. Why? Because these quantum bits, these qubits, are the most delicate, sensitive little divas in the universe. If a stray particle of light, a single atom vibrating from the guy walking down the hall, if anything touches them, they just, poof, the whole calculation is gone. It's called decoherence. It loses its mind. So, all the big dogs, I'm talking Google, IBM, all the giant brains, their entire strategy for the last 20 years has been, fight the universe. Build a colder, quieter, more perfect, soundproof, vibration-proof, radiation-proof box. Isolate this thing from all of reality so we can get it to do some math for us before it freaks out. It's a brute force approach. And it's kind of working, but it's a monster. It's a beast. It's not something you're gonna have in your house. It's not even something most companies are gonna have. These are gonna be building-sized things in a bunker somewhere that cost $1 billion. So, that's the game, right? That's what I thought. Then I find this other company, a little one, like, a publicly traded, on the stock market little company. It's called Quantum Computing Incorporated, ticker is QUBT. And I start reading their stuff, and I'm laughing. Because what they're saying, what they're claiming, is that everybody else is a complete idiot. They're basically saying, that whole fighting the universe thing? That's stupid. That's a sucker's game. You can't win. What these guys at QUBT claim. And you gotta hang on, cause this is where it gets weird. They claim they've built a quantum computer that uses the chaos. It's called entropy quantum computing. Entropy. That's the scientific word for chaos, for disorder, for the universe falling apart. And these guys are building a computer that eats it. It's like a jujitsu move on reality. Instead of building a perfect, quiet, soundproof box to protect their quantum bits, they open the window. They let the noise in. They let the universe smash into their system. And they claim they've figured out a way to use all that random energy, all that noise, as part of the goddamn calculation. I mean, it's like trying to have a serious phone conversation in the middle of a Metallica concert. But instead of yelling over the music, you somehow use the drum solo to help you explain your point. It makes no sense. But here's the punchline. Because they're doing this, because they're not fighting the noise, they don't need the fridge. Their quantum computer runs at room temperature. You plug it into the wall. It sits in a rack, like a normal computer server. No gold chandelier, no liquid helium, no billion-dollar bunker. And if that's true, I mean, you gotta stop and think about what that means. If that is remotely true, it's not just a big deal. It's the whole ballgame. It changes everything. It means this stuff isn't 10 years away. It's here. It means you could have one in a regular data center, at a university, at a bank. It makes the technology accessible, affordable. So, your first thought is, this has gotta be a scam, right? This has to be smoke and mirrors. This sounds like some, free energy machine. So I dig deeper. And the story of this company, is just as wild as the technology. It's this total, high risk, high reward. It's not even an investment. It's a lottery ticket. It's a pure, venture capital style bet. But it's sitting out there on the NASDAQ for any normal person to buy. Here's the deal. This company, QUBT, was just some software company. And then a few years ago they bought this other little startup, this photonics company. And that startup was run by this guy, Dr. Yuping Wang. And he is the guy who invented this entropy quantum computing thing. This is his baby. So they buy his company, they make him the CEO, and they go all in on this room temperature chaos computer. So, that's the bull case, right? That's the dream. You're betting that this one guy, Dr. Huang, is the one genius who saw the matrix, who figured out what Google and IBM couldn't. You're betting that he's cracked it. And if he has, this little, tiny company is going to be one of the most valuable companies on Earth. The market for this stuff. I mean, analysts are just throwing darts at a board, but they're saying it's going to be tens, maybe hundreds of billions of dollars. And these guys would have a massive head start. That's the dream. Now, let's talk about the nightmare. Let's talk about the bear case. Because when you look under the hood of this company, oh boy, it gets sketchy. The first thing you look at is the money. Are they selling these things? Are they making any revenue? I looked at their latest numbers. From this past year, 2025. In 1 quarter, 3 months, this company made a grand total of $61,000. 61,000. I mean, there are guys selling baseball cards on eBay who make more than that. It's nothing. It's a rounding error. And, okay, so they're not making money. But it's a startup, right? They're in R&D mode. How much are they spending? In that same 3 months, they lost $36 million. So, let's just do the simple math here. You make $61,000. You spend $36 million, you have a problem. You are a bonfire of cash. You are burning money at a rate that it's staggering. So, the next question is, how are they still alive? How are they paying the bills? How are they building factories? Where is all this money coming from? And this is the part that gets really nasty. This is the part that feels bad. They're getting the money by printing stock. They're just creating it out of thin air. It's called shareholder dilution. And this company is, like, the world champion of it. In 2025 alone, they've raised over $1.5 billion. With a B. And they did it by just printing new shares of their company and selling them to big private investment groups. Now, you gotta understand what this means for the regular person. For the little guy who believed the dream and bought a few shares. Here's the analogy. Let's say you and me, we start a pizza company. We have one pizza. It's got 8 slices. I own 4. You own 4. We're 50-50 partners. Then, we need to buy a new oven. So I say, okay, I'm just gonna create 8 new slices. And I'm gonna sell them to that guy over there. So now, there are 16 slices in the pizza. You still have your 4. But you don't own 50% of the company anymore. You own 25%. Your piece of the pie just got cut in half. Now, imagine doing that every single month. Over and over. Oh, we need to pay the rent. Let's print 100 new slices. Oh, we need to buy flour. Let's print 1,000 new slices. Pretty soon, you, the original guy, you still have your 4 slices. But the pizza is now the size of a football field. It's made of 1,000,000 slices. Your 4 slices they're crumbs. They're worthless. That is what's happening. That's shareholder dilution. And these guys are doing it on a massive scale. In just the first half of 2025, the number of shares out there went from, like, 129 million to 158 million. They're just, poof, 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 printing them. So, the bear case is this. This company isn't a company. It's a financial vehicle that's designed to suck money out of the stock market. It's a cool science project, and it's a great story. This room temperature quantum computer story. But the real business is just selling shares. And then you find the real red flag. The one that makes your stomach drop. The guy I mentioned before, Dr. Yuping Huang, the inventor, the CEO, the brains behind the whole entropy computing idea. The one guy you have to believe in to buy this story. Well, this year, 2025, he sold 1 million shares of his own stock. He cashed out, to the tune of over $14 million. I mean, what does that tell you? If you really just invented the first practical room temperature quantum computer, if you really believed you were about to change the world and become the next, I don't know, the next Bill Gates or Elon Musk, are you selling your stock? Are you cashing out for 14 million? That's a lot of money to us. But in the grand scheme of what this thing could be worth, it's nothing. It's chump change. If you knew this was real, you wouldn't sell a single share. You'd be mortgaging your house, you'd be selling your car, you'd be buying more shares. So, when the captain of the ship, the designer of the ship, is quietly lowering a lifeboat full of gold for himself, it doesn't make you feel good about the voyage, man. It's a massive warning sign. So, it's a scam, right? Case closed. It's a cool story, but it's a house of cards. But then I kept digging. And it's not that simple. There's another piece to this company. A totally different part of their business. And this part is not a science project. This part is very, very real. They're building a factory. A foundry. In Arizona. And this factory, it's not to build their quantum computers. It's to build the parts. Specifically, these new, high-tech photonic chips. TFLN, they call it. Thin film. Something or other. It doesn't matter. Here's what matters. These chips are the key ingredient. Not just for their quantum computers, but for everything. High-speed 5G communications. Data centers. AI. Self-driving cars. Even They're competitors. This is the selling shovels in a gold rush play. This is the 4D chess move. The company is hedging its own crazy bet. Their big gamble is this. Maybe our entropy computer doesn't work. Maybe it's a bust. But while we were trying to build it, we got really good at making these next generation, high-tech photonic chips, and everybody is going to need these. So, even if their quantum computer fails, their factory could still be a massive success. They can just become the main supplier for the entire photonics industry. They could be selling these critical parts to Google, to the Defense Department, to everybody. And this part isn't just a dream. It's happening. The factory is getting built, and they've already announced their first customers. They've got purchase orders. And not from Joe's Tech Shack. They're getting orders from, like, NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology. That's the government, man. That's the guys who define what technology is. That's a real business. That's not smoke and mirrors. And they have other little businesses too. They're not just a one-trick pony. They're using their light-based tech to build other stuff. They're building quantum sensors. They have contracts with NASA right now to use their LiDAR technology. Again, NASA, that's a pretty good customer to have. They're building quantum cybersecurity stuff. They claim they can use entangled photons, which is a whole other podcast, man, to create unhackable networks. And they just sold one of these systems to one of the top 5 banks in America. A huge bank just bought their quantum security test platform. So, the plot thickens, right? This isn't a simple story. It's not just it's a scam or it's the future. It's both. It's this messy, complicated, insane gamble. You have this core business, the entropy quantum computer, that is it's either a complete game changer that will rewrite human history, or it's a total fantasy. It's a science fair project that's being used as a story to print and sell stock. It's all or nothing. And then, wrapped around that, you have this other company. This shovel business. A real bricks and mortar factory making high-tech chips. A real sensing business selling stuff to NASA. A real cybersecurity business selling stuff to giant banks. But, here's the problem. Those real businesses? They're tiny. They're the $61,000 in revenue. They are not nearly big enough to pay for the $36 million in losses. So, the entire company, the real parts and the fantasy parts, are all being funded by that other business, the business of printing stock. The dilution. So where does that leave you? I've been trying to wrap my head around it. It's like you've got two completely different stories, and you just have to decide which one you believe. Story number 1 is the bull case. It's the dream. It goes like this. This company is run by a genius. He has cracked the code. This room temperature quantum computer is real. It's in the early days. It's expensive to build. The dilution. That massive printing of stock. That's just what you have to do. You have to raise the money. You're funding a revolution, man. It takes $1 billion to build the future. And the CEO selling $14 million of stock? Come on, the guy's got to diversify. He's allowed to buy a house, right? He's not broke. He still owns way more stock. The shovel business, NASA, the banks, that's all just proof. It's proof that the core technology is real. It's the first drops of water before the tidal wave hits. If you believe this story, you buy every share you can, you hold on for 10 years, and you become a bazillionaire. Okay, that's story number 1. Then there's story number 2, the nightmare, the bear case. This story goes, the core technology, the entropy computer, is a pipe dream. It's a dead end. It's a cool science project that's never going to beat a classical computer. It's just too weird, it's unproven, and it's probably impossible. The entire company, the entire $1 billion valuation, is built on that fantasy, and the CEO knows it. That's why he's cashing out. He's taking his $14 million and he's running. And the real business, the $61,000, the sensors for NASA, the factory, that's the cover, that's the sizzle. It's just enough real, legitimate-looking stuff to make the fantasy seem plausible. It's just enough to keep the stock printing machine going. And the whole thing is a house of cards, and one day, the money's gonna run out. The investors are gonna get wise, and this whole thing is gonna go to zero. So, which story is true? I have no idea. I really don't. It's one of the wildest things I've ever looked into. It's a pure, uncut, 100% gamble. It's a full-on, all-or-nothing, balls-to-the-wall bet. And it's fascinating, because someone is right, and someone is very, very wrong. And the difference between those two outcomes is, it's billions and billions of dollars. The whole thing is wild. It's entirely possible this is the next massive, world-changing technology. And it's entirely possible it's just a ghost. And it makes you think, doesn't it? Here's a crazy thought to leave you with. What if the real breakthrough in computing isn't about building a machine that's perfect and quiet? What if this QUBT idea is right, even if the company is wrong? What if the next step is to embrace the chaos? What if our own brains are entropy computers? I mean, think about it. Your head it's not a quiet, cold place. It's a warm, wet, noisy, chaotic mess of electricity and chemicals. And yet, this comes out of it. Consciousness, ideas. We thrive on chaos. What if we're quantum computers that figured out how to run on the noise of the universe? See you next time.